loves, welcome back. We are on our final day here with the AYRx yoga swings and going over the virtual training where I'm incorporating the all-in-one, the all-encompassing professional training. So we're learning the practices, the poses, the application for therapeutic use. We're learning the somatics and the sacred geometrics. First time that I am sharing the full kit and caboodle, and it feels really good. The last day being in the swing 4 hours a day has been incredible. I've been thoroughly enjoying it, so thank you so much for being here. So on this last day, I've been really meditating on it, and I really wanted to do some more advanced training for a couple reasons. I want to take the time to apply what we've been doing and what we've been learning to the more advanced, complicated, and the flips and tricks and all of the favorites along the way that we learned. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go over some of the things that we've been learning, and while we're going over it, I'm going to show you the progression, so that way when you come back and continue the training, because this is the first of actual 10, there's 10 levels of certification now. It's crazy. So this is just going to be one level, and you're actually getting like a combination, so like a sampler of all the different levels. But this 20-hour training will apply to the total 100-hour certification that you can take. And this has been such a beautiful blending. I went to show you what the intermediate and the advanced will look like. This has really just been mastering the basics and being able to apply some of the the simple poses and the simpler sequences to anyone, any size, any age, any level, which is really unusual that you can use the same poses for that variety pack and that range and the different kinds of injuries and illness and ailments that we can address. So we're going to start out nice and slow, and then as we build up, again, I'm going to tell you why we're doing what we're doing, give you something to look forward to, so that way when you come back and join next time, you'll really get excited and it'll give you that desire to keep going and learning the alignment principles, so that when you do get to the point where you want to do all the flips and tricks, it comes easy. So we've been working on the physical alignment of the body, particularly the pillar of light, body of light, being of light, which is just our whole energy, mind, body, being connection, whatever you want to call being, which is also life force energy. It's all physics. I take a very fundamentally physical law approach to the body and applying physics to learning the energy of the body. And then the physical alignment principles have to marry and merge with the energetic principles, which is understanding how the energy body controls and impacts the physical body, and it down steps into the nervous system. So we can really use nervous system regulation as an identifier of what's actually happening, what's happening in our energy centers, our energy management system, also how the brain is functioning and how much life force is going to the muscles and bones. And so we want to like work the body as one whole being, one whole living matrix. And now we're going to get into some of the specifics, and it's very symbolic. So when I talk about learning the alignment and stacking, making sure the body is actually in a straight line or a pillar, which is also a spiral, so a spiraling of the energy around this pillar. I'm also thinking about our mental and emotional and psychospiritual alignment. So if we're going to get into some more advanced practices, we have to be all in, which means if we're doubting ourselves or feeling a little trepidatious and our energy is resisting or pulling back, it's not going to go well. So it's this idea of working with leveraging our energy and leveraging our power, so this can be easy. And that's why I've been working a lot with the undulations of the spine and the pivot point, so that the whole body is moving together. So let's get started, and I'm just going to keep refining these principles and then give you live examples of how we can utilize our ability to shift our field and shift our energy, even change our center of gravity, where we can actually lift the energy and let the energy rise, and then we can drop the energy down and ground it down when we want to. And this is really helpful in terms of like our day-to-day lives. And if you need more energy and you need to boost the field, you'll know how to power it up. And then if you really want to get calm and relaxed and centered, you know how to bring the energy down. So that's what we're going to play with today. And again, thank you for being here. This is the first time I'm doing this very unique blending. I usually teach all of these levels separate, but I would love to share more about what I do. This is what I do in my own personal life, in my professional world, in all of my practices, and all my programs. And it just makes sense. The swing as this beautiful medium to interface with our bodies is teaching us more about how the body works, and gives us a reference point, gives us a way to play with gravity and to leverage our power, to understand our energy. So let's have some fun with it. That's the most important part, is that we remember to play. So here we go. We're going to raise our hands up towards the sky, immediately come into your pillar of light. Feel the central pathway of the spine. This is the superhighway for the nervous system, pushing down and grounding down. Feel the spiraling, the internal spiral of the legs and the external spiral of the neck and shoulders. And then hug the swing. Exhale, give the swing a hug behind you. You can bring your hands in front, so this is always wrapping outside in. And this will be really important, because if you're ever like this and you go out, you're gonna lose the hook, you're gonna lose the swing. So we always hug the swing and wrap outside in towards center. We're hugging towards center. And these are one of the things, particularly when you're in the air or we're changing planes, you can lose your sense of space and alignment. So we always want to stay connected to our pillar, connected to our center, which is the center of the chest, and pull all the energy back towards center. When we're radiating out, we come from the center, and when we pull the energy back in, we aim for the center of our chest. And this is going to help us with the pivot points quite a bit, because we look at all of the energy like a seesaw. And if you've ever seen somebody like the old the ancient pictures, we don't do it anymore, but carrying water buckets on a stick, and you have to find that pivot point, you have to find that perfect leverage, because if you try to put both buckets of water on one end and carry it like that, it's going to be nearly impossible. Well, it's the same with our body. If one end of our body is carrying all of our weight or all of our tension, and the other end isn't, it's going to be a mess, right? It's going to be straining one part of the body more than the other. So we're distributing the energy evenly, like those two buckets of water, where we can balance it perfectly at the center point. So these are the images that come to mind. And we want to remember that everything is a wheel. Everything is a sphere. Our head is a sphere, our heart is a sphere, and our pelvis is a sphere. And we work with the spheres together, the three spheres, or the three hollow spheres, I like to call them, and make sure that we're working in multidimensional space, not just linear movements, but everything that is a sphere spins in all directions, right? So we spin in one plane, maybe the horizontal plane, and then we can spin in the vertical plane, and then we can spin on all the diagonals. So there's much more movement than we actually consider when we're looking at all the spheres. So I just wanted to bring that awareness and that attention into our body as we push the swing down. Let's go ahead and start to play. I like to start here with my feet in the center of the mat. I'm going to go ahead and let the swing slide up just a little bit. It's below the tips of the shoulder blades. It's right behind that apex point of the heart, and we're pressing our hearts forward. We had a full day of heart activation and working with the heart portal and getting tuned in to the electromagnetic field and the toroidal force field around the heart. So we're marrying everything together with the sacred geometrics. So start to feel your arms out like the Da Vinci guy, your arms out to the side. This is your bubble. This is your space. This is how far your energy actually extends. In fact, your field extends even further than that, but we're going to focus on working and spinning within this bubble and this sphere. That's why I like working with the circular mats. It really helps create a whole new relationship. Instead of getting out of the lines, getting out of the boxes, we're actually working like if we're in a dome, but that dome is around our body. Just like the earth is a sphere and has the two axes, the two poles, so does our body, so does our physical body, and our body has its own holographic earth around it. We're like a hologram. Every cell in our body is a sphere, every joint. So just enjoy the sway and the swagger getting into the spins. So when we move in multidimensional space, when we start moving in spirals and spins, because everything in nature grows in a spiral, we start opening up and healing the parts of the body that have been sticky and stuck. If we stretch the body in straight lines, it actually jams the joints and harms the connective tissue, rips the connective tissue in unnatural ways. It's like going against the grain or the fiber of a fabric. It's the same with our bodies. So we're learning how to move and stretch and tap into this free energy. That's why when we're in the swing, we swing one way and then all of a sudden we swing the other way effortlessly. So this is going to be getting into the angular momentum or the spin factor. And I'm still keeping that central column, that axis that I'm spinning around. So we're always spinning around a point. And we want to keep all of this in mind and just feel it in the body, not to be too overwhelming in terms of information, but a curiosity and to get excited and encouraged to explore it in your own body. What does that feel like? We can all learn a little bit of physics while we're here, so you can feel the momentum. It's called momentum when we sway one way and then we automatically get the free energy to sway back the other way. And this is really fun because the more that we just sway and play in the body, which is truly effortless, then we're starting to open up the circulation. We're softening the tissue. We're getting more of the lymph moving. We're wringing out the tension in the surface of the skin. You can see right now we're really emphasizing the swing, tractioning across the upper back because so much tension collects in our neck and shoulders. And it initiates from the curvature of the spine at the upper thoracic behind the heart. And if you can imagine sitting all day or sitting at a computer and driving, we're curled in and we're balancing that. We're coming into a back bend and counterbalancing that natural or unnatural shape that the body is in most of the day. So you can imagine if you're in like a C shape, if you're curled like this, and then you go to straighten it out. Most people will just straighten it to 0 degrees or neutral, and then it comes back again, like a little rubber band. So we have to actually go the opposite direction and press the back of the heart up and then go past neutral, and then it'll stay. But if we're in a C shape all day, and then you just press it up, like people keep just pulling their head back and it pops back down, pulling their head back, it pops back down. We have to work not from the head, but through the upper thoracic spine to get that lift through the chest. And so the swing is so fantastic for doing that. And so what we can do then is we can start to find, let's go ahead and go for our handholds. I'm doing the same sequences pretty much every day, just a little bit added on so we can get comfortable and familiar. So every time we repeat a sequence, you can get more attuned to all the little refinements. So this is the full body hang with my feet just at the center of the mat. So what we want to do is keep the heart open, lead with the heart so the head can sink back, and then feel this antenna or this grounding rod that goes down through the tailbone and up through the crown of the head. This is your axes. This is your north and south pole. And the whole body has its electromagnetic field operating and radiating from the heart. So most people have seen this image by now. I'm going to share so many opportunities to study deeper into the Merkaba field, toroidal force field, electromagnetics, if that is something that interests you. I highly recommend it. It is one of my greatest passions, is to understand the sacred geometry of the body and how the energy works. My background is in engineering and physics, and I merged that with the healing arts and the health sciences. So, you know, when we understand the body and how it works, we can start really functioning more optimally and have like a better sense of self and well-being. You know, like optimal health and well-being is a big part of like my passion, not only to live that way in my own life, but to share it with the world. And there's lots of ways that we can start tuning ourselves like we're an instrument. So right now we're just stretching the spine to get the lubrication and the entire pathway open and flowing. So come up when you're ready and give the hands a little shake. And I'm gonna work with the pivot points and share with you the way we can move from our hips. Our pelvis is actually one of the power centers that gets really stuck and locked. And when we start working with the Kundalini activations and the undulations or the infinity waves through the body, that power and that leverage of operating from a lower center of gravity can actually propel us forward instead of leading head first, which I see a lot of people do. Their head is protruding forward, and that is not the best alignment or the most powerful center to be moving from. So we're learning that this actually isn't just our practice in the swing, it's how we can move in the world. So one of the ways that we can access this power is to activate the core. So when I say the core, I'm actually thinking the entire torso, but it includes the upper and lower abdominal muscles as well as the side muscles. So let's go ahead and use our hand holds one more time. Do our core activation, start building and boosting the energy using your breath, inhaling and exhaling. Keep the alignment, gaze up, head up. Notice if your head drops. Keep that strong pillar of energy and start to notice that the whole superhighway can start to send more energy without any obstacles, more flow. All the way up to the crown and then back down, washing the energy down the back. And do as many as you can today. We're gonna have a stronger practice. You can do 5 and just do the chair position. If you're not sure what that looks like, it's just staying in a seated position and lifting one knee at a time like you're marching. Sometimes the hands get tired and you just have to come out and shake them out and do it again. If you want to do a little bit more of a medium with strength in a chair, you can swing the leg back and pull it up and really engage and pause. Isolate each side of the core, or you can do while you're hanging one at a time as well. Whatever feels good, just keep going. Like I said, this spring I'm going to focus a lot on the contour and firm practices, kind of like an aerial Pilates version of the swing, where I do all my HIIT training, where I do 5 minutes in the swing every hour. And if you do this every hour, I promise you, every day, every hour for 30 days, it'll completely change your life. I promise you. And just in case you don't have a swing and you're really wanting to go for it and give it a try, not only is this training half price, which is the first time I've ever offered a virtual training for this rate. It's so affordable, it's half price. Then I'm giving you an extra $300 off the swing, which is also half price. So you get both the training and the swing for $9.99. So I'm just encouraging you guys to take advantage of that and really go for it, especially since, you know, spring is here. Let's boost the energy. Let's get those little seedlings enough energy to germinate and sprout and blossom for the new season to come. So after I do my core, let's go ahead and just move right into our pull-ups and push-ups and then squats. So I like to go into my push-ups next, and you'll see why. I mean, we can do these on the floor, we can do these on a bar, But why I do these is to start not only strengthening the system, I'm going to do the more advanced ones now on the diagonal. And if you've been practicing with me, if this is too much and you can't keep your alignment, you can step the foot forward. Let's go for the left and go into a lunge and a push-up. So it's not about making them super hard. It's about keeping the alignment so that way you can have the ergonomics in your body when we go into the flying poses. You'll see we're going to need the strength and alignment and mobility, flexibility when we go into Superfly. So I'm going to show you here all the strengthening, and then we're going to try each one of the flips, all the tricks, and then break it down bit by bit to understand the pivot points and how we can leverage our power to make this effortless. Let's keep going on the other side. You can just come into a lunge and dip. You don't have to go very far, but I want you to keep the alignment, which means your hands are directly under your shoulders and you're pressing and lifting your chest. And if you like a little bit more challenge, activate your core by, after lunging, lifting your leg as you press back. Inhaling and exhaling strongly. So we use our breath. Inhale, exhale strong. Inhale, and then you get that power shooting out of your arms, shooting out of your hands. So you're really able to use your breath to give it a direction and marry the breath with the movement. And even if you don't use the legs and you're here, you dip and then exhale really strong and straighten all the way. Inhale. And I like to use the air pressing out of my mouth strongly. You can also do the same thing with your nose, but since I usually have allergies, I try to avoid snotting all over you. But yeah, you can use the nose for breath of fire or the mouth, okay? So after I do my push-ups, then I'm gonna go into my bicep curls and my pull-ups. And then we're gonna also do this by utilizing the squats at the same time. So take a moment and just pause, see if you need a break. You can do a few different rounds. If you want to just hold on with your fingertips here and walk your feet a little wider than hip distance, you can come into a sumo squat and then just do little baby bicep curls. Maybe even come up onto your tippy toes. So you don't have to lift your entire body weight. I want you to try doing your bicep curls, your pull-ups, and your squats at the same time. Now, if you want it to be a little harder, obviously you can just do these without, I'm going to stand in the middle because I still have to jump and do bicep curls because I'm still working on my strength, but you can do your bicep curls and your core at the same time and do the most advanced ones. Or if you want medium, like I said, I'm going to give you the variety pack. You come into your sumo squat and you can come down and you can do a deeper squat. So you're getting more arms and more legs, both in your press and using your arms for a bicep curl pull-up. Okay, so wherever you are, 10 of those. You can dip halfway. You can come all the way down and all the way back up. Or you can do the Incredible Hulk version, where you're pulling yourself up completely with your hand holds and then doing your, what I call burpees with the leg lifts in a pike position. So yeah, so we want to be able to lift our upper body. And when we lift ourselves up, we also press with our legs, right? And it's really easy to do with your feet on the ground, but when you're in the air, you have to get that same press and that same lift. And so one of the ways that we learn how to do that is we use the handholds without the swing, with our feet on the ground, to get the leverage and get the position. So I'm pushing my hips forward as I'm coming up, and that helps me press. And then I'm doing the same thing in the swing. So I'm just going to show you real quick what that looks like, and then we're going to break it down. So just watch for this one, unless you're used to doing Superfly. And there's lots of different baby steps we can do, but once we're here, we can press to come up. But I have to press my hips down, and you can see my feet pressing down. My arms can go up and out then, but if my feet don't go down, then I can't bring my upper body up. So when my hips push down, my head comes up, and my arms are guiding the way. So that's what we're gonna learn. We're gonna learn these presses and these pivot points. And I'm gonna pop around a little bit and show you a few things so we can get the leverage, so we can get this idea of the wheel. The pelvis not being something that just moves forward and back, but it actually rotates like a sphere. So a lot of the times we'll see our pelvis, which is a floating mechanism, it needs to be able to rock in all positions, and it gets stuck. There's always one position or one direction in which it's more stuck than the other. So let's go ahead and come back into our supported back bend. You can already feel the energy building. Today is going to be, like I said, a little bit more advanced. So just do what feels good and observe if something doesn't feel right for today. You can always, the beauty of virtual trainings is it's great that you'll have a replay, so you can come back and watch it again and again until it feels second nature in your body. But since we're here in our sumo squat, like I said, what I've been doing with you guys is just letting you play, but roll the hips around in all directions. So let's see if we can find our tailbone. Keep the crown of the head and the tailbone communicating. And most people push your tailbone up, forward, and then towards the sky, right? That's how most people's hips are stuck. Now push your tailbone back and down, and then rotate it back behind you more. So think of the pubic bone the front of the pubic bone pushing down and then rounding back. So it's not just one direction, it's a wheel. It's turning over. So tailbone pressing down and then back towards 6 o'clock behind you on the mat. So we think of the mat as a clock, being 12 o'clock in front, 3 and 9 on the sides, 6 o'clock in the back. So when I tilt my hips from side to side, it's not just on a linear plane, I'm tilting, and then I'm rotating under at the same time. So a lot of times the reason why we can't get our foot up in the leg loop and push the knee down is because our hips aren't tilting. They'll go sideways, but it's not rotating and tilting. So I hope you can see my hands and that makes sense. So work on that tilt where the one hip lifts up and the other hip actually rotates down. That's how you get the knee to point down. And that's a great stretch for the oblique and the piriformis. So I want to work with the sphere and the hollow sphere. So let's do the other side in a seated pigeon and just feel it's not just pressing the hip straight down. That's when you jam the joint, right? Because the underside will jam. If you just push it straight down, it tilts. And then a lot of people are like, oh, and maybe it doesn't tilt as much as I am showing you because of, obviously I do this quite a lot. But yeah, you can help it rotate and then there's no pain in the joint. It actually feels really good because the reason why the knee won't point down is because our oblique and our QL, as well as the piriformis and TFL, are too tight because they've been shortened and they don't know how to lengthen. So we want to get the body moving in all directions. So let's just try that one more time. Take a moment, just roll around, make sure the hips can neutralize, and we have to feel that tilt. So another way that we tilt is not only to the sides, but front and back. So one of the things is we want to be able to pull one knee back and then tilt. Pull one knee back and then tilt. Okay, not to add more confusion, but just try all the different directions, and then we're going to see if we can roll the pelvis around like in a microcosmic orbit, you know, the toroidal force field in microcosmic orbit is not in straight lines. It's in a spiral, in a sphere. So when I work with the spiral energetics, this is what we're learning how to do in the body. Same with the neck and shoulders. We don't just jam the shoulders down the back. That is what is causing tension, is all of the contraction. It's a wheel. And so right now we're just playing with all the different directions. And most people, you know, the external rotation will be more than the internal rotation. That's pretty common. We don't internally rotate very often in our world, but most people are walking like with duck feet with their toes out. So we externally rotate more than we internally rotate, but we want to get the body moving in all directions. That will help to ensure the optimal health of that joint and healthy wear and tear, if you will. And the body regenerates. The body will regenerate if we're not in a repetitive motion or activity that is just wearing out one side of the joint more than the other, which is very, very common with a lot of the hip replacements. And I can tell you from experience, the whole reason why I went from the sciences, come on out for a second and feel that, why I went from engineering and physics into the health sciences and the healing arts is because I had so many injuries and no one taught me this stuff. And so blew out both knees, had severe lower back pain for 15 years. And it's been since 2008 approximately that I have been pain free. So almost 20 years now, being an adult, having less pain and injury in my body than I did in my 20s. So yeah, it's been pretty amazing, and I've dedicated my life to the regenerative therapeutics, especially all of the biohacking and the latest in advanced sciences. So if you have an injury, if you have an illness, please do reach out to me. Let me know what's going on. Let me help you. I specialize in the healing technologies as well as these movement practices. And after working with the electromagnetic therapies for 30 years, and nobody knew what I was talking about. It wasn't very popular back in like the late 90s. I wanted to create something people could relate to. So it was right around 2005 that I had the concept of moving in multidimensional space and teaching the electromagnetics, the energy of the body with the swing. And it's just grown since then. You know, it's been such a beautiful gift that aerial yoga became a thing. It wasn't a thing, and now it's a thing. It's so beautiful. And truly, this is a very different and much more refined, specialized program, which is why I like to call it the Suspended Somatics therapy now. Some people get intimidated by the word aerial. I completely understand. Some people don't like the word yoga and don't think that this is traditional yoga, and I completely understand. So we're creating a new genre, right? Whatever we want to call it. Suspension training, suspension therapy. I like the somatics part because I'm really encouraging people like we're doing here to feel in the body, and I give a lot more of this information and education around the energy as well as the mind-body being connection. So that is the awareness and the deeper relationship to our body that I'm encouraging with the swing. It's an experience. I want you to have an experience today. Whether you can do a flip by the end of today doesn't matter as much as you being in your body in a new way, feeling more of this alignment, getting the energy boosted, knowing how to create a coherent, resonant field by bringing all of your awareness and intention to visualize and focus and believe that you can do this. One of the things that I am 100% sure about is anybody can do the swing. Now, not everybody can do a flip in terms of like wanting to do a flip, but everybody can do a flip in terms of their body doing a flip. I would modify. I would do a flip with somebody while they're on the ground to begin if they're afraid of the air, for example. Some people are afraid of heights, acrobatics. Other people, they would need a soft surface and support to do a flip. So everybody can do a flip. It's just a matter of getting you into the right position, the right support, the right version of it, and to have a buddy, to have a spotter. If you're not used to doing acrobatics, then I want you to chill it. most important thing is that we play safe and have maximum amount of fun. So I'm gonna show you some of the flips that we can do today utilizing what I call the training wheel. So we're gonna have several hooks. We never want to lose a hook. That is the most important thing. I have like a perfect track record and I'm gonna keep it that way. So when you're working with me, we're gonna be hyper aware and super duper extra careful to know where we are in space and know where our hooks are, which is the hugging. When I work one-on-one with someone, I'm watching them. I'm watching their every move and I'm making sure they got the wrap and they got the locks. So when you're at home, please do play safe. Put something cushy. You can pull out a mattress and lie on the mattress if you want. Cush it out. So that way, you know, you're being super safe. And you can also, like I said, you can bring it down the swing to the ground and work there like we did yesterday. And just keep it super chill as well as having fun. Okay, so let's go back into our loop-de-loops and figure eights here. I'm just going to give you some of my favorite holographic body enhancements while we're here. I am constantly moving my body in these infinity waves, constantly. So this is part of what I like to teach in my day-long retreats and my getaways. I do retreats in Maui. So these quantum retreats is we're getting into the energy body activations, and I wanted to incorporate some of these here. So we have infinity loops at our heart, infinity loops at our head, and infinity loops at our pelvis. And we have these 3 loops and we want them all to work together. So notice this looks a lot like swagger. So we're gonna get in and we're gonna follow the same pattern and we're gonna just see if we can feel these infinity loops as we're working. And you can see, I don't just have one part of the body isolated, I'm having these 3 spheres communicate with one another. And I know this is a lot, so thank you for sticking with it. It's just, I love all this stuff and I wanted to start incorporating more of the details into the swing. And why did I create this program? Why did I create this series and the way I stack the different poses? Because one feeds into another, and even the transitions is part of the pose and part of the dance. So it'll all just start to make sense. Well, it's like, oh, that's why we swagger. Oh, that's why we change planes and go back and forth. Because I'm balancing. Every time I do these infinity waves, I'm balancing the left and the right. I'm getting these parts of the body to work together and communicate and spiral around the apex point, the center point, so that we can bring our energy back to our core where we're most powerful, where then we're not leaking energy. So we learn how to stack, we learn how to keep our arms in the right position so they're directly under the shoulders, and the same with our legs. We learn how to stack with our hips, and we learn how to stack with our head, because we don't want to be like a straw with a kink in it, or a hose, a lawn hose with a kink in it, because then the water won't flow, then our spine won't flow, then the nervous system will be pinched off, and our body's response to that is synapse firing, triggering a relationship to the stimulation of pain. So that blockage is felt as pain. And we don't have to live in chronic pain. I know there's a lot of people that are having a lot of chronic illness due to so many environmental and health factors, but there's so much we can do to eliminate the buildup and excess of tension in the body that is creating the resistance and the blockage, which is creating the pain. And that's what I'm here, hopefully, and I hope that it is helping you understand the relationship to the body and start to make some of those changes. And it's going to be slow. Take it easy, have some fun with it. The more you relax, which is the opposite of tension, the more the suppleness of the body can come back and you can be more malleable. So let's go ahead and try the swing one more time. Well, many more times, but go ahead and hop in. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, go ahead and hug. Push the swing down. Let's come on back in and feel that infinity wave back and forth now with our hips. Feel one hip coming forward and then the other hip coming forward, just back and forth, and at the same time with the feet wide, just see if you can get that tilt happening. And if that is not smooth yet, if it feels like a little choppy or jerky, It's okay. It'll smooth out, I promise you. And then what's really fun is trying to go the other way because the body likes one direction more than the other. And then it gets really confused. It's like, wait, what? Which way are we going now? So then you push one hip forward and the other hip forward instead of pulling them back. And then see what that's like. It's pretty cool. And then see if you can get your upper body, your torso, your chest doing the wave. The infinity waves. And if it feels like you're just going to side for now, like, don't worry about it. It'll happen. It'll come. But it's more forward and back as well as side to side. Just do loop-de-loops if you're not sure. Close enough to the figure eights. Okay, good. So now you can feel like, oh yeah, maybe that one spot is really tight. Where do you feel it? Is it tight everywhere because the body's like, I have never moved like this before? Or maybe this feels like second nature. You're like, yeah, I do this every day. It's my favorite pose is the infinity wave. And then of course we can do the infinity wave up the spine and down the back. So that's why we were doing all the undulations. We inhale the energy up the spine and down the back and create the microcosmic orbit. And it gets a little bit more complicated than that when we do up the front and down the back, and then up the back and then down. So it's two loops in one, but I'm not going to go deeper into that. That's something that you can come and learn with me, is doing the vertical infinity wave. But just feel it. It goes from the heart to the crown of the head, from the back of the head to the back of the heart, through the sternum, down to the pubic bone, and then wrapping up the back to the back of the heart, through the front of the heart, up to the crown of the head. And so it is a little bit more challenging to get those two waves working together. It will happen, it will come. We all have one quadrant where it might be tighter. It's usually tighter from the back of the head to the back of the heart, but it can also be very congested or tight from the back of the tailbone up to the back of the heart. So those two quadrants can be really tight. It can also feel congested going from the front of the heart down to the pubic bone to get that nice long loop. And then of course, some people, it's the lift of the chest. So there's several different quadrants that we work with to try to balance the energy. And that was kind of the quick sampler platter of learning the infinity waves and why we do the movements in the swing to start to open up these different loops. Give it a little hop whenever you need. Let's go ahead and get our leg loops on, both of them behind the knees, so we can try our infinity wave while we're floating. And if you practice with me the last couple days, if getting the leg loops on is challenging for you, we'll keep opening up the hips. It'll get easier with time. You can always bring the leg loops down one and bring them lower, or you can sit in the swing, spread it out, and put the leg loops on while sitting back in the swing, which gives you a little extra support. Okay, so here we are, swaying from side to side. And just notice, this movement feels a whole lot like the infinity loops. So this side to side movement is, the infinity wave is happening for you. That's why we want our upper body and our lower body to be swaying in the swing. So we push one foot forward and then the other foot forward, and then the pelvis is just rocking on its own, doing its own version of the infinity wave. And loosening up. If you put your hands on your hip flexors, you can kind of feel it a little bit more. One hip is coming forward and one hip is coming back. And that opens up the IT band. That's moving the kundi up the spine. That's opening up the tailbone and sit bone for us to tap into the power center of the pelvis and move from our pivot point. So we want to bend at the hip creases and not the waist. That is a more powerful position, is to really engage through the tail and communicate to the crown of the head. So while we're here, go ahead and make sure that you're finding your poles. Let's say the head is the north pole and the tail is the south pole. Are they communicating through the center point of the sternum and the heart? Just keep those energy centers alive and awake while we're working, even if it's in a simple practice like this. You're doing great. Okay, we're going to go right into understanding this pivot point at the hips, and we've done this several times, and I want you to do it wrong, quote unquote, first, and then I want you to do it the way that I teach the pivot points and leveraging our power, and then you'll notice the difference, okay? So this is why we hold on to the leg loops, which is attached to our knees. So if you reach for your knees, you'll slide up the leg loops and get the correct hold, which is at the top of the leg loops. So when we do it incorrectly, this is the way you don't do it, by the way, again. If I don't move my hips and I just keep them sinking back and I try to pull with my head and my arms, you'll see it's very, very hard. It's hard for me to lift myself up. And that's what I find most people do. Their weight is sinking back like the 2 buckets of water on the stick, and I'm not able to lift my upper body, okay? The way that I'm able to lift, and this is what we were doing with the bicep curls with our feet on the ground, is I'm actually going to let my hips lead the way. So my legs, my knees go wide, I press my hips up at the same time as pushing my feet down, and as I do that, my upper body lifts. And so then it really is working the entire spine together. My hips press forward and up, and my upper body can lift. So showing you again the wrong way is just trying to do a bicep curl without utilizing my power center at the pelvis, and then pressing through the pelvis. So I have to press up by pressing my legs down and pressing my pelvis forward. Now then, of course, I can sit down and I can still press forward, but I'm always leading with my hips and my heart and my head in a straight line. Most people are just trying to pull on their head and lead with their head, and I'm telling you, your whole world will change when you start leading from your power center of the heart while the pelvis is initiating the movement. Imagine initiating the movement from the tailbone and having that ripple all the way up the spine. That's the secret sauce. So then I'm really feeling, if I want to lift, I lift my tailbone up, right? So when I want to go up, I lift my tailbone up, which means I push my legs down. When I want to go down, I drop my tailbone down. Everything is from the apex point of the heart being at the center, and then the 2 ends communicating, and the power initiating from the very base of the spine. So this is going to be a game changer for all of the poses. And if you just feel that, when I want to lift up, I lift my tailbone up. To lift my tailbone up, I push my feet down, right? So if I want to come forward, instead of just leaning forward with my head, I'm going to pull my tailbone back. If I want to come back, I'm going to push my tailbone forward and let my head come back. Everything is with this pillar and this straight line. Tailbone goes back, head comes forward. Tailbone comes forward, head comes back. Okay, it's just a different way of looking at it. But most people, you'll notice, if I try to lift my upper body here, but my tailbone doesn't move, it's kind of impossible, right? If I'm just using my upper body. So when we go to do a flip, I'm actually going to lead with my pelvis, and I'm going to push my pelvis forward and up to come up. And I'm going to drop my pelvis down and back to go down. So it's actually changing the center of gravity. Right now, my center of gravity is really low. I'm pushing down. And if I want to go up, I lift my center of gravity, and then I can come up. Okay? Hope that makes sense. We'll just put it into practice. So now we're going to do the same thing in our training wheels, and we're going to try our first flip. So we need to be able to bend at our hip flexors, not our waist. If you bend at your waist, it's because you're pulling your head forward. We never lead with our head. Every time we even come into a forward fold, it is by the tailbone pressing back that the head can come forward, okay? Just get a sense of that. Push the tailbone forward, pull the tailbone back. There you go. And it's actually a wheel, so it's not just straight back, it's actually down and curling up. right? And then I push it down and I'm curling forward. So that's how we really get the power of the pelvis moving, which is one of the largest energy centers in terms of our base. It's like a base of a pyramid, and then it goes up to a point. So the power is stronger at the base. Okay, so this is getting fun. This is getting exciting. We're gonna go for, this is the 2-hour training, and then we'll have our 2-hour workshop. So we're gonna go for like about another half hour, and then we'll have a little break. So just stick with me if you're wondering, how much longer are we gonna do this? We're just getting warmed up, but yeah, we're gonna go pretty much straight through and then have a 15-minute break today, okay? Alrighty, so when I am lifting my legs, I want to keep the bend at the hip flexors here. This was like our leg lifts. So same thing, if I want my legs to rise, I'm going to let my hips sink down, right? If my hips don't sink down, it's harder to pull the legs up. You have to really let that lever happen, right? So when I pull my feet down, my hips rise. When I pull my feet up, my hips go down. So I can lead with my feet, but just go ahead and press your hips forward. Let your feet drop. Drop your hips back and let your feet rise. See the difference? Instead of me leading with my feet, I'm leading with my pelvis. Just try it. It might seem subtle, but if I want my feet to go down, I push my hips forward. If I want my feet to come up, I drop my hips back. And then it's literally effortless to lift my legs. So it's one of those things where if you don't actually get the pelvis moving because it's stuck, then you can't lift your legs. If you can't push your pelvis up and forward, then you can't do a flip. So it's one of those things is why we want to focus on the power points and really loosening up the connective tissue so that the energy can move, and you use your energy as your power, not your muscles. This is something that is super deep and meta. This is the like advanced mechanics. We don't use our muscles, we use the energy to do a flip. And if you've ever seen people flip, you can see that they're using some other superpower. So today is about activating our superpowers when we get into our flips, because I love Cirque du Soleil and acrobatics and all that. I mostly teach the therapeutics, but I've been doing acrobatics my whole life, naturally. And then when I went to whatever class or acrobatic class or gymnastics, they were like, how do you know how to do this? And I'm like, I don't know, I just know. Like I can watch, when I was younger, I could watch somebody and my little brain would be calculating all of the ergonomics, all of the energy lines and pivot points. I could see the energy actually. I didn't know people couldn't see energy then. And then my body could do it. My body can mimic it. So I like to practice with you, and I'm actually creating an entrainment. So just play, just watch and attempt to do it like mimicking, but play. Because as soon as you try and as soon as you effort, if you're efforting, which means you're flinging your body around, you've lost it, which is fine. You can fling around. But honestly, when I see people, I teach a lot of aerialists to actually understand the physics of the body and you leverage their power and energy, total game changer, okay? Then it's easy. And again, creating this program, I had to reverse engineer, what am I doing? When I'm like, I don't know, I can just do it. You know, I'm just like up, I would say up in my body and my body would go up, right? And then somebody would be like, well, my body didn't go up. So then I was like, okay, what am I actually doing when I'm changing my center of gravity? Like I was just describing. I was lifting through the entire length of the spine, initiating the energy from the tailbone. And then the energy would go up the spine. And then I was leading from the pelvis. So when I bend, I'm bending at the hip flexors, right? If you don't bend at the hip flexors and you bend at the waist, it's kinking the straw and you immediately lose your power. It's just one of those things. As soon as you start leading with your head, you've lost your power. You've turned into a slinky, you know, and the slinky just bends. We want to stay in that pillar, in that plank, in our antenna being strong. So let's just try that. Again, instead of trying to lift your feet without moving your hips, which it's natural that we think, okay, if we're going to lift our legs, we lift our feet. But try dropping your hips and then pushing your hips up. And then just do that a little bit more. Lift your hips, lift your feet a little bit more by dropping your hips more. And then I'm utilizing my arms just as engagement. So I'm pulling down like this so I can engage through my core and I'm not bending into a C shape with my spine. I'm staying perfectly straight, which means as soon as my hips come up, my head has to go back. Does that make sense? Because we have to keep that leverage between the hips and the head. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying this and just play with it. So I'm holding on to the top of the leg loops. I'm keeping my body in an L shape, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of sandwiching my legs towards my head in an L shape, and then I just keep rocking. And as I rock, I'm pulling with my arms to get a little leverage because my hips, again, they're a wheel. So I'm turning my tailbone towards the sky. And as I turn my tailbone towards the sky, my head is going to point down towards the earth. And at the same time, I keep my legs in a pike position, an L shape, or think of a sandwich, because you're going to keep pulling your feet towards the crown of your head. And most people lose that connection, that L shape, and that's why they can't rotate back into a pike. Best way I can describe it. Don't go back all the way and flip over. I mean, you're not going to get hurt because you're in your training wheels, I call it. So you're triple hooked right now, but still try to do it with control instead of just flinging. As soon as you do one leg at a time and you start going like this, you're flinging. Just FYI, you've lost your alignment, you've lost your connection to your core, you've lost a pillar, and learn how to do it correctly with the ergonomics and the leverage, leading with the pelvis, and I promise you it's a game changer. So let's try that a couple times. I'll show you what it looks like. So as I drop my hips and I lift my feet, then I'm gonna start to lean back, and I'm aiming for my tailbone towards the sky, my feet to go back towards my head. My head is going back towards the ground, but I'm not flipping all the way over, okay? So I just lift, tailbone towards the sky, and then I'm bringing my knees towards my forehead, and then rolling back down. Okay, the more that I lean back, the more that my pelvis lifts. Easy, staying connected to my core. So that is how we learn how to do a pike. I'll turn around and do it the other way, just in case you're having a little difficulty seeing me get into that sandwich position. If you lose the engagement through the core, you'll flip all the way over, which is not a big deal. I'll show you that. You just have to kind of let go and come back into it if you flip all the way over. I do like to encourage doing it slow and controlled instead of just flipping, feet towards the sky and then overhead. So I'm aiming my tailbone from pointing down towards the ground to lifting up, feet towards the sky, and then keep rotating with control. If you flip all the way over, it's not a big deal. Just let go of your arms and then come back in. It's hard to flip back over, it's possible, but trust me, it's just better to start over. And that's why I love training in the swing, because it's so safe and so easy, and you'll see kids playing with physics and the energy of the body all the time. And I don't know why we stopped playing, but I'm like, no, let's bring it back. Because we can actually play our way into optimal radiant health. And it is absolutely known now, scientifically proven, that play is the most important part. That's why aerial yoga play, AYP, was part of the quantum playground. And when people like to shorten it to aerial or aerial yoga, I always say, no, please call it AYP or aerial yoga play, because the play is the most important part. If you're going to call it anything for short, call it play. No, I do think it's really important to keep that levity and that lightness, you know, of being. But what I mean by play is more of the quantum play. It's the infinite dynamic experiences, the infinite ways And yeah, it's just there's no end to the possibilities. So the infinite ways that we can play is the infinite possibilities of exploring and experiencing the body in a new way. And there is no one way. And even though I'm using my air quotes and saying the wrong way, it's just you can try and pull yourself up without moving your hips. I'm just going to tell you, life can be really challenging. It's like trying to pick up the stick with 2 buckets of water down on one end. Not when you can put the buckets of water evenly balanced on each side. You know, that's how we can come into Superfly. We can either carry water, making it really hard for ourselves, or we can carry water using perfect alignment and balance, and then it's effortless because literally the weight distributed is canceling each other out when we're working from the pivot point. Now, wouldn't it be nice to think about that metaphor in our bodies? And if we're carrying too much of our weight in our upper body, then that's a problem. We're kind of like an upside down pyramid that's about to tilt over and fall over. I see a lot of companies building themselves that way, too top heavy, problem. And then I see people who have just all their weight in their lower chakras and they're not balanced with their upper, balancing the upper and lower, the masculine and feminine, the same with the left and the right. If we're right dominant and we're not balancing it out, then it's like 2 buckets of water on one side pulling us out of center. Let's make it easy on ourselves. Let's balance it out. Let's keep everything in equilibrium. Okay, let's just try that one more time. Come on in. Bicep curl lift. We're going to learn how to use the same principles when we come into the flips, into the high flyers. And again, if the high flyers are not happening for you today, if you're like, I'm good, you're going to come back here to high skydiver legs, leg loops all the way up at the groin to support your waist. Weight. The more we bring our energy closer to the center line, the easier it is. Okay? So holding on here, you don't need like to get a running start, although some people like to have more swag. It's totally fine, but you don't need to use all that momentum, although you could get like a big running start and then kick over. You don't need to use that much oomph. You can actually just stay right here, like I said, and just start pumping the legs by lifting and dropping the tailbone. Yeah, drop the hips, push the hips forward, drop the hips, push the hips forward. Okay, so now when we drop the hips, we can also rotate the wheel up towards the sky. It's like doing a plow pose on the ground. And if you're not sure, you can always just do this on the ground, and it's the same as a plow pose, where you're leaning back. You're rolling onto the upper back and lifting. And of course, there is some flexibility involved. And then roll down with control as well. Okay, and of course we can do that from like the top floor here without the leg loops, if anybody wants to try that. But I wanted to transition into working here at the other end. Now, if you have any sort of injury or if you need some support, you can always spread the leg loops out. It's okay to spread everything out as well. So this is what it looks like when we do the same flip, changing planes from the leg loops being further away from the center point means it's going to be more challenging. If you want to bring it closer in, bring it closer in, but I'm just going to show you the two ends, and then of course you can do it from the knees as well. So this is when we learned the vinyasa flow, the beginning of the series, where we lean back into ladle. And once we lean back into ladle, we're going to shimmy so the swing is at the hips. That's the pivot point right now. And then again, bending at the hip flexors, bringing the legs wide and around. And then we can come upside down to an inversion. So I'm going to show you this in a few different angles so that you can get it. And then when we want to reverse, we're going to bring the legs wide and around, and then we can come around to sit. So when we lift our hips, our head goes back. And when we drop our hips with a strong core, our head comes up. So we're leading from the hips. We're not yanking on our neck to come up. So I'm going to turn around so you can see me a little bit better, and we're going to just try that one more time. Okie dokie. So I like when you're able to see from all the different angles what is happening here for those that haven't done this before. And literally I've taught so many people to do the inversions that told me they would never do a flip, that they had no interest in the acrobatics, but once they got the geometry and the ergonomics in their body, they loved it. So this is ladle, where I'm going to let the swing come right across the top of the hips, the iliac crest. Bring the legs wide and around. And then the feet come in front. See how they hug the swing? They're in the front plane. Okay, now if I want to bend to come up, see if I pull on my head and don't move my pelvis, it's virtually impossible. I'm going to have to bend at my waist. I'm not able to come all the way up. So the way that we learn how to get into the acrobatics is we hold on here and we don't use our head at all. We're going to bicep curl and drop our hips back. So right now my tailbone is pointing towards the sky, and imagine the tailbone pointing back towards 6 o'clock, and then my upper body will lift. I'm just using my hands to guide. So just try that a few times. Move from the pelvis dropping, okay? So I'm going to keep my entire torso, this I call the entire torso, the core, engaged, pulling it towards center. Straight line, crown of the head and tailbone in communication with one another. I drop my hips and my head comes up. That's how we do our core exercises. Do 5 wide straddle sit-ups without yanking on your neck. Imagine how much happier your neck is going to be if it was like, I'm just coming along for the ride. I don't do much. I just stay in alignment. I just stay connected. I stay plugged in, right? You can see if you're moving from your neck and your head all day long, that poor part of the body is so strange, but our pelvis can't lead the way if we're sitting in a chair and we're getting like squished at our power center. You know, we have to move from the pelvis. Okay, now imagine that we're going to do this with the legs wrapped around the swing, and we're going to pull ourselves up. I'm going to show you in both directions, but let me show you the incredible hook sit-ups here. It's been a while since I taught the acrobatics, so it's fun. But yeah, so when I do a sit-up, I'm bending at my hip creases, and it's the same thing. If I bend at my waist, I completely kink the hose. I put a kink in the straw and there's no flow. We all know that from our lawn hoses. So you can use, for now, you can go ahead and use your leg loops to help you. But you're going to do a big sit-up and you're going to move from your hip creases. That's why we've been working the pelvis so much. And then you're going to keep your entire torso in a straight line and let the tailbone lead the way. So I bend at my hip creases, I push my tailbone. Now that it's pointing towards the sky, I'm going to push it back and down. There you go, back and down. So if you really feel the entire spine working together, then you can skip the leg loops and just let your entire spine lead the way, and then I can do some toe touches. So lead from the tailbone and pelvis. Press and lift. Press and lift. If you don't bend at your hip flexors, it's not happening. Press and lift. And then once you do a few of those, you're going to do the same thing where you press your tailbone down towards the earth, right? So I have to lift my hips and press down to come up. And then I can do a bicep curl easily. I'll show you one more time. Remember to press your tailbone down, your legs have to press down too. Just like we were doing when we were in our training wheels. So I do a big sit-up, press my tailbone down, push my legs down, and lift my upper body. Now, notice if I don't do that, my tailbone is going to stay pressing up towards the sky. I'm going to try and grab, and then I'm going to try and lift my upper body without pushing my legs down. I get stuck. I'm like a bug stuck on my back. So there's Literally no way you can do that gracefully. We have to work the entire torso together. So I'm going to turn around and I'm going to come into high flyer facing the other way. So that way when I'm all the way up in the air, you can see me. So yeah, so that's why we do all the alignment principles. And that's why we stack the energy. And we're not only stacking the energy physically, we're stacking it with our mind, body, being all working together, creating a coherent field where the belly, the bowl of the pelvis, the heart, and the head are all staying in alignment and communication. And with that, our thoughts have to be in alignment, our emotions have to be in alignment, and our connection to our being, our spirit, is through our heart and needs to be in alignment. So that is with our state, our mood, our attitude. If we say, I can't do that, then you can't do that. If you say, I want to do that, you're getting a little closer. But when you say, I can do that, and I will do that, and I look forward to doing that, that's really different. So most people approach the swing saying, I can't, I can't, I can't. And your body says your wish is your command. And I'm telling you, this is not woo-woo. This is the work. This is the real deal physics of the body, the energy body. Whatever we tell our bodies, the body says, your wish is my command. Yes, ma'am. So we tell our body, we can do this. What can I do? And play with it. Because once you get the pivot points, like I said, because most people didn't know that they were supposed to be moving from their tailbone. It was never taught to me that way. This is my Jen Healy world, my own voodoo magic of like, oh, what am I doing where I just reach up and grab and pull myself up? And people were like, how did you do that? I'm like, I don't know, I just did it. I said up and my body went up. Well, that up was also with some mechanics of what I was doing with my entire spine. So let's try it again. We don't even have to use the leg loops this time. So what we can do is we can lean back, put the swing across your hips, bring your legs wide and around. Make sure that they are hooked on the front plane. Then we're going to straighten them up. I like to hook my feet for a little bit more leverage. Bend at the hip flexors. Push my tailbone back and down really quick. So the thing is, it's so fascinating that when I'm doing this quickly, I'm actually just using more of the oomph and the power in my spine, not the muscles. I'm using the energy. And then here I'm pressing. So what I do is I take my tailbone and I press it towards 12 o'clock and down, and then it's rolling like a wheel. And then I have to press my legs down to come up, right? So my hips come up, my head comes down. My hips comes down, my head comes up. It's like that. That's easy. And then it's the same when I do the flips. The same with the training wheels that I showed you before. We don't have to go all the way around, although we could. So I'm going to drop my hips. Do you see how my feet come up? It's the same thing. So I drop my hips, I pull with my arms, and then I tuck. And then I come into a pike. And then to come back up, I'm going to push my tailbone down, forward and down, and then that lifts my upper body. I drop my tail, bring my legs overhead, and I pike. Pull the tailbone down, push the legs down, and the upper body lifts. What magic. And then we're going to reverse it. We can even come down nice and slow. So imagine slowly, not just using your core, but the tailbone going towards the sky is what lets your head come down. So start to lift your tailbone towards the front of the mat and push it down and feel how it'll lift your upper body. At least halfway. To push it all the way down without using your hands is challenging but possible. And then allow your legs to release and come down. Okay, let's take a little breather, a little break. That was fantastic. I'm just going to check on the time here. Oh, we have plenty of time. Okay, cool. So yeah, we will take just a little bio break. Have a sip of water. It's like 80 degrees today. I usually wear a turtleneck, so, you know, all the accoutrements don't come flying out when I do the flips. It works really well. So let's just take a moment to receive all of that goodness. What I notice is that when I start activating the pelvis, this energy center, and moving the energy up and down the spine, I get a tremendous amount of energy that is freed up, that was kind of locked in the Kundalini channels. So you can get like a huge wave of energy that comes over the body. So hydrate and cool the body, and now ground and bring the energy down. We're going to start practicing some of the grounding. Really good. Let me know how you're feeling. Ask questions and I can come back on and do another live and answer anything that you are curious about. Obviously, it takes some time to practice something new, but I'm going to show you how to do that same leveraging of our power. I like to keep my mat a little bit moist so I have a little bit more grip in this one. It definitely helps. But yeah, let's just come to sit and take a sacred pause and bring the energy back down in sumo. And just feel the difference now that we've awakened and activated the portals at the tailbone and crown of the head communicating. You might actually feel your head lighter. I always find that when I'm able to change the center of gravity and change the focal point, all of that excess tension in the upper body is now being activated by the energy that was stuck or sleeping in the tailbone and pelvis. So it's really, really powerful to not only strengthen our muscles, you know, our core here, but feel the entire spine starting to work together in a new way. Flips made easy. Who knew? Who knew flips could be so easy? Effortless, really, when we start moving from the right centers and having them all work together. So that's the better together. The Holy Trinity is the three: the heart, the head, and the pelvis, all working evenly together. We're just in a society that is over emphasizing the mental sphere and the head sphere, and people are sitting on their power center all day. Get off your power center. So if you're sitting on your power center all day and just overutilizing your head and your thinking, there's going to become a major imbalance in the body. So we have to use all of our intelligences, the heart brain, the head brain, and the belly brain all together. And then we're triple smart. And then we actually make decisions that are balanced between, you know, the earth and taking care of the earth and its people, as well as, you know, the monetary gain of different corporations and establishments that are not considering the whole. So my real passion and philosophy is the whole systems biomodeling that the universal principles in natural law represent. So let's first get them in our body, and then maybe we can make better decisions when we're using our whole being and our whole brain, all three brains working together. Okay, just see how that feels. And then we're gonna just come back to our forward folds, and I'm gonna show you that same practice with our feet on the ground. Sometimes we do this first, but we jumped right in to the high flyers and we can try again. But it's another way to get connected to the tailbone and the movement of the upper and lower bodies working together. So let's go ahead and pull ourselves up to stand. So you can see we brought the energy down and everything cooled down again. We can bring the energy up and bring up a lot of excitement, or we can literally just drop down our center of gravity, and it cools the body and it cools the body down. So we're going to do this in our forward folds. And from our forward folds, we're going to come into angel wings. Make sure your swing's not tangled because it doesn't feel as good when it is all bunched up. So yeah, so I get it nice and flat and even, because it will, since gravity is doing such a good job, always pull up. When we come into our forward folds by standing in the center of the mat, you can always bring the swing down a little bit if that's a little bit better. Let it sit directly on that hip crease. That's the part that we want to move from. So when we come into our forward folds, you can just give it a little shimmy by lifting one leg and then the other leg, and just getting it into the sweet spot. There is a sweet spot. So you can see in a forward fold, my head comes down and my tail comes up, right? Imagine the tailbone not only just moving back, it's rotating up towards the sky. Like if it's going from pointing into the center of the earth, pointing back towards 6 o'clock, but then rotating towards the sky. And then the crown of the head is pointing down. So most of the time when we're moving, I have noticed, everybody, that we're leading with our head. You know, so when I say lift, most people are trying to create the movement with their head. So today, we're going to play with really strong isolation, where we get into our pillar. You have to feel all the centers. And then to lift, you're going to push into your feet. You're going to push your hips forward, and then push your tailbone back down towards the center of your mat to lift up. A lot of people have trouble lifting into angel wings because they're trying to use their head. Now the same thing, you let the whole spine work together. So now you start to lift your tailbone towards the sky to come down. All the way. And then to initiate again, push the hips forward. Tailbone starts pushing down towards the ground and towards the pubic bone, towards the front of the mat. And the upper body lifts. So let's just try that a few more times. Lift the tailbone, let it rotate. So it's going from it's going 90 degrees to 180 degrees towards the sky. And then push the hips forward and push the tailbone down. And notice that it's effortless. You're just keeping the whole spine in a straight line and it stacks. Now, obviously, if there's any blocks or kinks, you might not feel the ease and the effortlessness of that. But I want you to just feel it. It doesn't matter how far you go. I want you to feel the initiation from the tailbone. If it makes it a little bit easier, push your hands into your thighs to help your upper body to lift, especially if there's any pain in the back. But instead of utilizing your head and your back muscles, push forward and use the energy of the tailbone pushing forward. Okay, so that's what we're doing when we're coming into Superfly. This is gonna be one of the last flips that we do today. There's so many different tricks and flips I like to do. We'll learn some of the spinning along the axes in the advanced training as well that I love. But yeah, we're gonna go into Superfly again. That pose I showed you that you were probably like, what? Then we just came up. So that pushing down with our tailbone, pushing our hips forward and pushing down, that we can do even when we're in the air. So we're gonna try it. We're gonna break it down into the little bite-sized pieces. So I'm gonna show you with the leg loops in my hands. Let's actually do the in-betweener. So from here, I'm gonna reach back and grab for the leg loops in my hands. And you can do this with your feet on the ground instead of Superfly, just by the way, if you want to do something. Otherwise, you can watch as well. So I'm holding on to the leg loops in my hands and I'm pushing down. So I'm learning how to push my hips forward, push my hands down, and lift my chest. So in order to come into the full Superfly, you have to really push down to lift up. It's kind of the same thing where if we're pushing down, then the upper body can lift. Now, sometimes that's too hard. And we're just gonna stay here. That's why we were doing our little push-up position, so we can actually push up and then straighten out. If we can't push up and lift, if we don't have that strength, so same thing, use the tailbone, push the tailbone down to lift up. And just find that little bit of lift. So if we're here and we're dropping all of our weight and our tailbone is not helping us, it's kind of impossible to lift. You know, there's too much weight. So we're gonna press the back of our head into an invisible wall as the tailbone presses down and the hips press forward to come up. And then it's easier. I mean, we still have to use some engagement with our arms, but we're not muscling it as much as using the alignment and the leverage. And that's how we can live our entire lives, by leveraging our energy and power instead of efforting and working so hard, by not understanding how to bring things into balance and equilibrium in our lives. So just let that be a contemplation of how you can bring more balance and equilibrium in your life, not just in your physical body, but the mental, emotional, and the spiritual parts of our bodies and our lives. So let's go ahead and come back into our peaceful warrior and see if we can lift up. There's a few different parts and pieces, and I'll go over each one, and we're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna show you what it looks like again. I can go ahead and hold on to the leg loops or get those out of the way. I'm gonna bring my legs wide and around. So the way that I kick up is the same thing. I like bring my hips up and my head comes down. Tailbone towards the sky, head towards the earth. I can push into the swing with my feet to get a little bit more leverage. And then I'm gonna turn over and arch by pushing my tailbone back and down. So from this position, I'm still focusing on leading with my tailbone and pushing my hips down towards the earth. And then from here, I can press up by pressing my feet down. I know, it's a lot, but we're gonna try little bite-sized pieces and see if we can come into it another way. Okay, so if it is a little hard to flip over and do that little where I push into my feet, and then I push my hips down to get my head to lift, because then I have to come into a big arch. There's a few in-between steps that I do. And this is all in the advanced. So if I've lost you for today, I want you to come back and just hang out in sumo squat and be like, wow, this is fun. I'll just watch the movie, you know, coming into our Superfly or Superman. And just be happy hanging out here. Or come back into just doing some baby push-ups and imagine, even with the swing underneath you, what that would feel like to lead with the pelvis, lead with the tailbone, and if you dip, then you want to push the hips forward to let the upper body come up and not just isolate the arms for a push-up, but the whole spine working together, letting the tailbone initiate the movement and keeping everything in communication, everything in alignment. Keep that pillar and keep that alignment. So working from here is perfect. So I like to share, especially during the last day, why did we do all these different exercises? That's when I was like, okay, well, let's do that pose to open up the hips, and that pose to strengthen the core, and that pose to get into the push-ups in the arms, and then this pose, so we have to be able to push our pelvis up and lift into a bicep curl at the same time to come into high flyer, so that it all kind of syncs up and matches, like everything stacks to get into some of the more advanced poses. And if we learn the basics and master the basics, especially these alignments, you can do it all. You can do any one of the advanced poses, like a variation of it. It's okay to do these flips with the leg loops on, all the way up at the top of our thighs for support. There's lots of different ways that we can get into a version of the Superman and the Superfly here. Like a lot of times I'll come into the forward fold and I'll just have people utilize the leg loops from here like I was showing you and just do Superfly like this. You can also do it when you're coming into an elbow hook and hook your feet like this. And then just practice coming up. So with your feet hooked, it's going to be hard to come up, but then you can extend your arms and come into a Superfly like this. It's a little harder to bring the arms overhead, so I'll just keep them here. But keep it all in balance, right? So do a version that feels right for your body today, that can be fun, that feels safe and feels comfortable and playful. You can even come in and work with getting your arms and your Superfly here. You can do it while you're laying on the ground and just feel the shape and play with the tailbone. You know, press the tailbone forward and feel your upper body lift. Pull your tailbone back and feel your upper body come down. It's just those tiny little micro movements that is going to get everything synced up and communicating. So speaking of, let's see, I am going to start in this direction and come back into my peaceful warrior, which is my #1 inversion pose. And so teaching parts of the Superfly, I've learned to come into the leg loops at my elbows. And so this is that arch that can happen where I'm pressing my hips forward and arching and opening to get my head to come back and to loop around. And then you can think about pushing your feet in here and pulling up. So the more that I get that lift in my upper body by pushing my pelvis down, that it's easy. I'm not just trying to use my arms or muscle it. You can muscle it, but I'm letting you know that it'll be out of alignment and you're working too hard and you'll strain yourself. And then once you're here, you can try and grab for your backpack and push up. And of course that takes a little bit of oomph, but once I hold on to the leg loops in my hand, I'm not gonna try and keep my head heavy and my feet in the air. I have to push my pelvis down, my feet down, and then my head will lift. So we're working with the lever, and that really requires more than just muscle. It is an energetic thing. So I also want to think of up. You know, if all the weight is pouring down, there is no up. I have to push down through my lower body to lift up with my upper body. And then we can slowly come down through backpack. Hang out here for a second. This is a great position, like skydiver. And you can start to just kind of feel the pelvis leading the way. And then as soon as I tuck my pelvis, my head comes down. And as soon as I lift my legs and push my pelvis towards the floor, my head can come up. So I go from this curled position to this arch position and just play with that. Drop back into our elbow hang, nice and easy. And then come on out. Bring your legs around, drop your hips and lift your head. Keep your core nice and strong, straight line in a plank position. And let your head just come with you, and there will be no neck strain. There'll be no neck pain. And just see what this would feel like or look like to move in the world like that. How would it change the way you walk? How would it change the way that you even sit or you move in a chair? Can you twist your entire body from your tailbone now? Let's just end with some gentle twists and have a nice 15-minute break in between. Obviously, I'm not going to do the workshop all acrobatics because not everybody's ready for that level. So we're going to do a fun and creative way of exploring the power centers and the pivot points and the leveraging of our center of gravity and our energy. So come back for the workshops. It's going to be really fun. It's all a surprise and spontaneous for me too. I'm like, okay, Source, go ahead, lead the way. I'm following. But yeah, we'll come back after a little break and still play with maybe doing some of the spins and spirals and working with the flips on the horizontal plane in the workshop. That could be fun. So that way we cover everything. So just notice if the pelvis is pushing forward, then we don't have access to that power. We have to be able to rock our pelvis forward and back, not just stuck in one position, but it really is able to move not just in linear movements, but rotating in all directions. So we'll work again with the infinity loops in the workshop and do a little bit of review, but adding on to, but yeah, the acrobatics and all of that, all those inversions, that's intermediate advanced. So please do consider after you have had enough time to master the basics and review all this, come back and do the intermediate and advanced training with me. I absolutely love it. There's so much more that we add on than what we did today for this little taste. But get some good hydration. You can have a little bite to eat We will still be active, so just a light nibble, please. Don't go get a burrito, which some people have done in the training. Keep it light, and then if you want to take a 10-15 minute Shavasana, you're welcome to do that as well. And then we'll see you back here in just a little bit. Thank you. Appreciate you joining us.